why is it that, people are so quick when things go wrong to categorize other people, meaning, um, guys make statements about women or women make statements about guys. Oh, I hate women when they do that. All women are like this. Or all men are like that. You know, especially within a relationship and you're having a dispute over something and, you know, it always gets thrown up, somebody gets thrown in a box, a category, and all it does is make the other person angrier. Like, how dare you? Of course, women have hormonal issues, and that varies from woman to woman. So do men. Men have testosterone. They have, varying levels of testosterone. So, I mean, it astounds me how many people succumb to that line of thinking to manipulate to get what they want. And to me personally, there is nothing more frustrating than being dismissed. Nobody likes to be dismissed when they're trying to address something, an issue at hand, and then told, oh, that's not what happened at all, or you're hearing things, or you need to get help, and I mean, we rely on our senses to make decisions every day. And I've said this many times before to many people, we look both ways before we cross the street. We listen for trains before we cross railroad tracks and all these things. We rely on our senses, So when somebody, starts to try to deny your reality, it gets pretty chaotic. And that's where that video on gaslighting came from, But gaslighting runs at varying levels and in different degrees and from different kinds of people. It's not just within intimate relationships, it can be work and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's just basically somebody trying to fuck with your reality. And I'm sorry to say that, but honest to God, in a nutshell, that is what it is. And it's not a word I'm going to throw around in any, in this video or generally speaking, but to make the point, like, what, in a nutshell, what gaslighting is, that's what it is. It is another person trying to fuck with your reality. Make you second guess what you heard or what you saw, or to deny your reality. When you heard or saw whatever. And, interestingly, the average folk doesn't go around doing that. The average person, they hear stories like that and they're like, wow, that's out there. But there is a movie with Ingrid Bernhard, I think, and it was a movie called Gaslight from 1944. And that's where the term came from, actually. And it was where a guy got involved with Ingrid Bernhardt, and he had motives. He had killed somebody and got with her and did all these things to make her think that she was losing her sanity, made her question her reality. And he was after the jewels of a victim that he had killed. And it was, Ingrid Bernhardt's mother or sister or something. It was a good movie, and I thought, wow, so that's where this terminology came from that is now in psychological textbooks under certain diagnoses, personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder or psychopathic, personality, So, it's just so interesting, it's a strange dynamic, a normal person, a healthy psychologically healthy person, psychologically sound person is not going to resort to that antic to manipulate, or to try to obtain control over somebody else to get what they want. I unfortunately, went through that, and it was horrible, and people, when they hear it, it's like, oh, that, because it's so hard to prove. I mean, it should be considered criminal, but it's so hard to prove and substantiate that there is no, like, legal criminal recourse to come from that. But when people hear stories of somebody who's been the victim of that, the person, the gaslighter, is usually a charismatic, articulate, or whatever, likable person, and turns it and, puts it back on the victim. So, I mean, I went through all that, and I remember, going through that, and I found out who my real friends were and who weren't. And I say to the ones that proved to be false, I thank you, because you're no longer in my life. And, I have long moved on, and my life has just come leaps and bounds since, and I've gotten stronger because of, and for those that proved to be true, I definitely, especially thank you, because you're still in my life, and, that's an awesome thing, Very true friends are hard to find, fair weather friends are a dime a dozen, and anybody can talk the talk and all this stuff to try to, seem like a vested friend or whatever, when at the end of the day it's like, you find out, but I don't know what compelled me, to go and do this, particularly, I guess maybe doing a little bit of reflecting, but also a little bit of education, a little educational piece to this, like, where this gaslighting terminology came from. The other piece to that with, the gaslighting or the history and all that, the gaslighter is usually a male, and the gaslightee is usually female. In couples counseling, it's usually that dynamic. Not saying that gaslighters don't have feelings, because they do. Their feelings are theirs, and it's generally, a very deep-seated insecurity, and I don't know, it's there's a lot of dynamics that go into that, and it takes longer than, 10, 15 minutes to sit and really, like, explain all the dynamics that can go into that, or what would possibly create that, or make, to me it's like, I couldn't do that to somebody, and to get what I want, or to make them do what I think he or she should do, or no. I'm just a forthcoming person, and if I want something, I ask, When I was doing drugs, I was ruthless, and I'm honest, but that was, a long time ago now, but you live and learn, and all that stuff has made me even more appreciative and respectful of human life, and the value of life. I mean, life is short. I'm 50 years old, and what I want for the rest of my life is just peace and contentment. I've been writing and publishing, and I'm, still in school and working, and, well, not right now because of the pandemic, but was, once the pandemic ever straightens out, I guess, eventually I'll get back to work, but I have some great people in my life, and, it's all good. It's all good, you know. And even despite the challenges of the hard times, and yeah, there's, you know, one or two things that I need to deal with, you know, that I'm not going to necessarily publicize, but that's on a personal tip that I intend to, and I'm in the process of, and have every intention of eliminating out of my life because it's not healthy. And that's necessary for me, you know. And at the end of the day, you got your life to live, and sometimes you have to be selfish in your happiness. And I don't mean by screwing other people over or hurting other people, but in terms of, setting your boundaries and taking care of what you need to take care of, because at the end of the day, life is temporary. And I've said this multiple times. I do not want to be a person that ends up on my deathbed at 75, 80, 90, whatever it is, being bitter about the life that I should have led, but didn't because I was afraid of X, Y, and Z, or because I led my life trying to please other people. Screw that. Life is too short. And everybody's life is uniquely their own. We are individually responsible for the choices we make. It determines the quality of our life. There's many things we don't have control over, but we do have control over what we think and how we react and the choices that we make. We are responsible and accountable to ourselves on that. So that's where I'm at.